Yesterday was April Fool's Day, but there's also, you're mixing the tragedy with the comedy because people are saying it was April Fuel Day because people were plunged into the choice between whether you eat or heat. And you either laugh or you cry. I prefer the laughter sort of side, but you need to look at the clear issues. The person who's brilliant at encapsulating the moment is the cartoonist Matt, who in the Telegraph, he's got this wonderful thing here, I don't know if we can pull that up, but in the Telegraph he says, the British seized my super yacht and froze my bank account, but it was my latest energy bill that forced me to leave the UK. And he's brilliant. I absolutely love that. And every time her finger on it. But people plunged into that decision is really tough. The other good thing, and what I love about coming in on April the 2nd, is that we can review some of the best April Fool's gags out there. And the newspapers did themselves proud yesterday. And here's a little selection you might like. Thorpe Park, for example. They said it drained the water from its water ride because 80% of its guests get stressed after ruining their hair. And so you might get a clue here.
Well, I can sympathise with that one.
Instagram, see what he did there. Operations manager at Thorpe Park said, it is important we react and adapt following feedback from our guests, so our decision to replace the tidal wave with AR water was an easy one. There you go. I love that one. The other one I love was in the Mirror, they claimed that the mud from Marble Arch Mound was used to rebuild Hadrian's Wall. It said the move was all part of the government's levelling up. Isn't that glorious? It's got to go. So lots of... But if you look over history, there's been some fantastic April Fools. I mean, they've removed the word gullible from the dictionary now.
Oh.
No, yeah, quite. Thank you. But in addition to that, you remember the BBC with the spaghetti trees? You remember when they talked about Big Ben was going to be replaced with Digital Dave?
I quite like Piers Morgan going on a plinth in Trafalgar Square to wake up the woke brigade
I love
really
that. I'll sponsor him to do that.
Well, I saw an article in the Times, page 15, happiness machines push buttons of number 10 staff. Apparently, staff in 10 Downing Street have been going crackers because they've said that they're being patronised by the installation of some so-called happy or not machines around number 10. I'm glad this is April the 2nd because I thought it might have been an April Fool's Day joke, but maybe it's a day late, this one. And it's these things that you see in airports, you know, where you say...
I've seen it.
I think British Airways have taken theirs away at the moment.
And
Heathrow.
Well, if they're clever about that, though, Phil, what they should do is like most research things. So rather you can have happy, very happy, deliriously happy, or ecstatic. Yeah, exactly. You don't have a choice which button you press.
I quite like this story because when I worked for Asda, I actually introduced these machines on the checkout.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Tease them out.
I did. Many moons ago, I introduced them onto the checkouts at Asda. When the customer went through the checkout, there was a machine at the end, and they had to press a button whether they were happy with the service.
Oh, very good.
Or well, you say very good. I thought it was very good, and I spent Asda's hard-earned money on these machines, but I don't think they lasted long.
No,
so I think
they're going to last as long as I think number 10. I think they'll be removed.
Perhaps if number 10 had spoken to me beforehand, I could have said it sounds like a good idea, but it doesn't necessarily work.
But there's a clever way of manipulating those sort of things, because as long as the button's close to you, you're more likely to press it. If you have one really far away, or make it stop so that one doesn't go down, then we could have helped you with that.
Well, I could have worn the
rigging the results.
Rigging the result. That never happens.
But then again, number 10 never listened to me about anything, to be honest. So there you go. Esther, what caught your eye?
Well, I was looking at the signs, the secret signs that betray your true class.
Oh, go on then.
A fantastic story in the Mail today, page 46 and 47. So I'm going to ask you some questions.
Okay.
I'll tell you some things first. So in a household, the upper class would have a simple doorbell. The lower class have a chiming doorbell. The upper class houses are shabby, frayed, unkempt, and there's no TV or a TV not visible. The lower classes have clean houses, pristine, effortless, or effortfully designed, I should say, and the focal point is the TV. Where's the TV in your house? I think this is a big one. I think the TV is a big one.
I don't think we have many TVs, but the butler normally points me in directions.
But is it a feature? Because I think this is a biggie. Is it a feature?
I think when people talk about televisions now, I mean, it is. Some of it's a feature, but you get your media and TV on different devices. So actually, like most households, you could probably have several different people watching on screen.
He's not giving the right. Philip, I'm going to ask you the question. We've fallen out over this, by the way.
Have you?
Yes.
Is this a Jerry Springer moment. I love it. Is there going to be a...
It's a different thing each day, Andrew.
But this one's the TV moment.
Yeah.
We have a big TV.
Yes.
So obviously we're lower class. We have a big TV. And it
Not
is
big
a-
enough.
Is it my big TV? I thought it was missing.
Not big enough.
And I thought it was huge. I think it's about 54 inches.
Good
it's
heavens.
huge. Thank you. It's like a mini cinema, but not big enough for Philip.
No.
He wants a bigger one, as does my dad.
Yeah, although I do say size isn't everything.
I thank you.
But the thing is, Esther's got this down here. She's mentioning this, and the Mail are saying that this is an upper class versus low class. I thought this was a male versus female thing, that men wanted a big TV in the centre of the room and women didn't. I didn't realise it was a class
Well,
thing.
this is now
I thought
a
it was
class
more
thing.
of a gender thing.
So there you go. Who'd have
Right.
known it? I'm upper class on this one. You're lower class.
I'm lower class on
How
most
about
things.
this one? Knife. So when you're eating your peas.
Yes.
John Major.
Mushy peas.
No, not mushy. Don't pretend to be a lower class. Not guacamole.
I like mushy peas.
Right,
Me
so
too.
what is it? Peas on the back of the fork or peas on the concave side of the fork?
Oh, look at the word
What do you
concave.
do?
Yes.
Look, you're perspiring. You're getting all hot and
I'll tell you, it's a bit worrying. Go on, then.
What are you doing? Which one do you do?
I'm trying to think. No, I do love mushy peas, I have to say. I would probably, because you can't get them, you can't piece them. I would probably do it on the concave side.
What would you do, Phil?
Yeah, but that's probably. I'm with Andrew, but
Sure.
I think that's probably because I'm just not very competent.
But the upper classes do it at the top there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas we would shovel them in.
Yeah.
They're delicately taking.
Well, they're turning them into mushy peas by
Yeah, well, that's
getting
what
them
you want.
into
None of you mushy peas.
Yeah.
See, these are all important things. I think the other one as well is what colour are your cars? This is a bit of a giveaway. Cars. The upper class colours are black, navy, dark, grey or green. We're doing well on that one.
Yours black and mine's grey. So.
Lower class, white, red, two-tone. But the other thing, which I've noticed here creeping in, the lower classes will be spotless, shiny, washed at the weekend. The upper classes are dirty, neglected and battered. We've got a bit of a problem with this hygiene, haven't we? In the household, it's shabby, unkempt. Lower classes, sparkling and clean.
Oh, there you go.
Well, what did my grandma always say to me? Cleanliness is next to godliness. And always cleaning, always cleaning.
Well, I think you're probably right, and I would love a red car, but actually mine is black and it's covered in mushy peas, obviously.
Maybe it started red and it's so dirty, it's now black.
You're right, filthy.
Now, I wanted your opinion on this one, Andrew, because
Yeah.
this is the thing that gets my blood boiling and other people's blood boiling. I think Telegraph, page 16, terms such as person prioritise men over women. So person is not a gender-neutral term, as it prioritises men, as studies found. So all those years when we were all told you had to call somebody a chairperson or all that kind of stuff.
Or a post person. You can no longer have a postman. You have a post person.
exactly.
He's just got posty.
Post is good.
Posty.
Post is
all those years when you thought you were being politically correct by saying chairperson, now apparently some lunatics, linguistic,
Yes.
I said lunatic, that was my interpretation. Linguistic and psychology experts at New York University have taken political correctness a step further and now said that person is now not a gender-neutral term. It prioritises men over women and is a fundamental bias. I was thinking about this. How on earth can this be not gender neutral? But then I thought it's person. Son. Maybe it should be per daughter.
Per daughter.
Maybe
per
if
daughter.
I see. You see it within the word. I don't know. You might have changed the word when we were talking about a chairman to a chairperson, but if every chairman was still a man, all of a sudden that reflects as a chairperson. You think of a man as a person because the role, you were renaming the role, but the role was still occupied predominantly by...
You're not supporting these idiots, are you?
I'm not.
New York University.
I'm just saying, why would a word change its meaning?
No,
and the only way it can change its meaning is by association with...
And people are looking for effects. And I'll tell you what I object to most about this. It devalues what are legitimate claims. I believe in a world where we're blind to race, sex, colour, creed, all that sort of thing. And what happens is by focusing on these trivial things, and they are trivial, this isn't an offence. It wasn't meant as an offence. It wasn't meant to be sexist or whatever. We need to shine a spotlight on the real issues. And by having the trivial stuff, it devalues the real points.
You've got to think, how do you stop the division, not create more divisions? And I think this looking, as it were, for divisions is worse. We've got to think, how do we just, as you say, just be able to judge each on them?
It's the point I was making with you earlier. Is we mean, look at these sort of things. If you want to find defence, it's easy. You want to find... Now we're drowning in a sea of information, most of which is false. 99.9% of the information we get is false.
Except on this show.
Only on this show. It's the only place you can get the truth. I love that sort of stuff. Well, but you're right. So we need to question everything, but also focus on the real issues, because there are some really important... Equality is so important. Making sure there isn't genuine discrimination is so important. These things devalue that.
Now, I think there was a story on the front page of the Financial Times that you were...
Oh, yes.
You were keen on...
Well, there's a number of these sort of things. There's also offices emptying fast as COVID infection reaches record high. And this is the time when they're getting rid of the free testing. And I'm with Trump, not a sentence you necessarily always hear me say, but I'm with Trump when he sort of said, if you remember a number of months ago, he said the way to cut down the numbers is to stop testing, because then you won't have lots of numbers. And I think by testing people all the time, you're effectively creating a culture of fear. And it was basically the sort of situation where the best way of selling anything is through fear. The father of PR, Edward Bernays was his name, he always used to say that if you want to sell anything, from Dixie cups to medicine to your latest product, make people scared. By testing people all the time and saying that you're going to be contracting this terrible thing, it made people scared. Now the scientists seem to agree that it's not as bad as normal things happen with the virus as it evolves. It's not as bad as it would normally be. But speaking of bad things as well, the interesting thing also, I just wanted to mention very briefly, Putin, the cancer doctor, and the baths of antler blood. So it's been reported, and this is on the front page of the Telegraph also with the Matt cartoon. What they're saying is that they suspect that Putin may have a thyroid issue. And that would account for his puffiness. It may account for his behaviour. It may also account for why he's very worried about these enormous tables where you're sat 40 miles down in Brighton and we're up in Glasgow, love Glasgow. And that might explain it.
I just thought that was to prevent assassination attempts. But
it could be, but that's what they're saying here. But what I also love, and they go into all sorts of things about the theories about why he might be puffy because he's taking these steroids and so on and so forth. But they're also saying that he's been bathing in blood extracted from severed deer's antlers. Which sounds extraordinary, and drinking unicorn blood just to make sure you're protected. But it might give a measure of the person. What I would also say, however, is that in any war, the first victim, the first casualty is the truth. And if you look back at history, all the time, this is what you do. You minimise or diminish people's standing in the world by spreading all sorts of misinformation. And that works on every possible level.